The following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all nerds! International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys role-playing system from Fantasy Flight Games, a show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both a player's and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Chris Holmes. How you doing, homie?
I'm doing awesome. My Vikings won today, so that's great. My fantasy team has about a 85% chance of winning. So I'll flip a coin and see if that comes true, because that's all luck. But most importantly, last night I ran some Red Box D&D, poured around the hill, and killed a couple characters. So that was awesome. Big giant bats, killed a character, and then killed a torchbearer. So fun stuff. Yes, they had a torchbearer.
Oh wow!
It was great.
So you killed Nodwick.
Basically, yeah. And by the way, last night I shit all of you not. One of my best friends, Kyle, rolling out. So in basic D&D, you roll 3d6 right down the line. His first roll, 3 6s. We're like, what? Are you kidding me? He rolls an 18. Then we're like, roll that D100. See what you get. See if you get ot. Sure enough, he rolled ot. Got an 18 100 strength, but you don't do that in basic. I know, but we just had to do it because all of us when we were little were like, yeah, I got an 18 100 strength, sure. Sure enough, he rolled it last night. I'm like, you know what? Make it a 19 and let's move on. Then I killed him with a freaking Neanderthal, so that's awesome. So, anyways, that's how I'm doing. How you doing, man?
I didn't get to play anything this weekend. I worked all freaking weekend.
Oh, that sucks.
All sweaty and sticky and gross. I just want to sit down and, oh, wait, I do have a beer. I'm good.
Cheers.
I'll talk about games instead.
Let's do that. Well, speaking of games, actually, the adversary decks dropped on Friday. Picked mine up yesterday.
Yeah, I got mine Friday. My friendly local game store had them sitting, waiting for me.
Cool.
Little special bow on them and everything.
Nice. Yeah, I went down to the Fantasy Flight Gaming Center here in the Twin Cities Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. I did not plan my Saturday very well because Magnum Opus was going on, and I should have sat down at the table and played Genesys Android. I couldn't. I needed to get back home to prep for my night game. Bummer. But it was pretty cool. There was a lot of people there, and there was some girl in line that I asked. She played it, and I asked her, well, what'd you think of it? She's like, well, I've only played D&D, and I've only played Pathfinder, all my life, but she really enjoyed the Genesys system, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, there's more converts out there waiting.
Oh, yeah.
So the Magnum Opus, that was their Netrunner event that they were running, their final Netrunner, and they were running Now, from what I've heard on internet news, they were running the Genesys adventure that they ran at Gen Con.
That's what it looked like to me. I saw when I walked around. I saw the character sheets. They looked like the same character sheets they had at Gen Con. So, wish I would have sat down and played, but didn't have time. Bummer.
But they did say that the world of Android was going to be changed by this event, that there was going to be, the various factions and whatnot, their power was going to be basically for the book that they're going to be writing, the Genesys book.
Okay.
That they're going to be writing, this is going to give the background on who's in charge of what and all that stuff. They were helping do some world building today when they played the games
I see.
This weekend.
So how the tournament and how that stuff played out and all that stuff, that is cool.
Yep. That picked which factions were going to be in charge of things, and maybe they do an Android setting card game in the future, that will come into play, I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure the Android setting is not dead for card games. They're just probably going to have to take some time to retool the mechanics and whatnot. But
yeah, cool.
Who knows? Maybe they'll use the Star Wars Destiny mechanic for their card game. That'd be cool.
Well,
but
okay.
But I don't know if you've ever played.
I've played it once, about 3 years ago, when it first came out.
Star Wars Destiny?
That the dice?
Yeah, it came out last year.
Star Wars Destiny, the dice? No, dude. That came out a couple years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago.
A couple years ago. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Okay, I'm going to agree to disagree.
It was about 2 years ago. You're right. It wasn't 3. Hey, the snow hasn't snowed yet, but my brain's a little fuzzy.
It's all good, brother. I'm just messing with you.
Because I know it was right before I moved up here, which was 2 years ago. You're right.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, and I got into it as soon as it came out, and I'm heavy into it. I have been collecting a full set of everything every time it comes out. Huge money sink. Love it.
Nice.
Thank you, Fantasy Flight, my corporate overlords.
Yeah, I will be signing my paychecks over to you anytime now. No.
Was that it for news, buddy?
I think so. Yeah. Unless you had anything else. I just had the decks and the Magnum Opus.
Okay. No, that's it. Cool. I do have one piece of listener feedback I chose for today from KC Lee over on the Facebooks.
Cool.
He says, "Awesome work, guys. I binged on all the episodes and need more."
Oh, my.
Question, though. How would you convert a D-Shift-7D player?
I love when people pick that up. That's awesome. D-Shift-7D. And he spelled it out. D-Shift-7D. That's awesome.
Right. Like R2-D2 type, phonetically. That's great. And show them how amazing Genesis is. They haven't played a lot of either, but they love the critical role, very bad dice toss, and are pretty set into thinking it's the best. Thanks. Sorry, I was lost there. I think he meant something different than my response replies to now.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, you meant like critical. You responded with, "Oh, I'm not familiar with Critical Role, like the series over on
TV
what is
show.
it?
Yeah, I know it exists, and it's a D&D live play thing with Matt Mercer and all them."
So so it looks like his group loves like the critical hits or the critical fumble, either the very good stuff or the very bad stuff, and that's why they like that's why the despair and triumph are good. Oh man, well
dude,
done,
I am stupid sometimes. Okay, all right. So KC, apologies. I didn't really think about that for a second. But anyhow, no, I'm not familiar with the show Critical Role much because I've seen it once and wasn't all that impressed. It's just a bunch of people played D&D, and okay, so done. Moving on. But my suggestion is for him to get his players to try one of the Star Wars beginner games. And I hope we get some for Genesis. But right now, we do have those Star Wars beginner games that teach the dice. They teach the GM how to run the system. Yep. They do a really good job of teaching you everything you know, and everything comes in one package. You buy the box, you have everything you need to run.
Yes, you do.
And it's because if you're trying to get them in Fantasy Genesis, you want to, just to run maybe one of those. But my recommendation, my two favorite ones are the Edge of the Empire one and the Age of Rebellion one. Yep. Those are two really good ones. The Force and Destiny one, it deals more with the Force and is not going to be as generic. And the one from Episode 7 or Force Awakens one, it wasn't as good as the others.
No. Yeah, so the Edge of the Empire one is more of a smuggler, grab a ship to get off, try and get a ship to get off the planet. And then Age of Rebellion is you're on a mission infiltrating a base and trying to take it over. So whichever you feel like, KC, whichever your group might be more in lines with, you can't go wrong with getting either one of those.
And so then once you've done that, then you say, So this system works, guys, and we can play fantasy games with this just as easily. And then you bring them over. You can use any of the, as I said, there are conversions out there on the web free for several of the established fantasy properties. They're all available online in various different places. Chris even suggested one. But there's Middle-earth, Pathfinder, Warhammer. There's World of Warcraft.
Yep.
There's several of these. There's even Avatar. If you want to do Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Yep. Find a setting that your friends are going to love, one of these free settings, and try that out next because they're free. And then if you feel like you've got the hooks in them, go out and get that Terranoth setting and start running fantasy, either in your own world with Terranoth's rules helping or in Terranoth, because Terranoth is an amazing setting world.
It really is. Yeah. We're
so
having
those were my suggestions.
I'm having a lot of fun playing it in your game, and even on Thursday nights with Stefan running that too. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
There was, like Tony said, I had they're up on the Fantasy Flight forums for Genesis. There's a master resources list which will list all of these various settings. And then I found there's a Pathfinder to Genesis conversion, setting and stuff. So converting adversaries, and then some of the skills. Here's how the skills map over and that kind of stuff, which could, take a look at it, download it, and check it out.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
So thanks for the message, Casey. Keep listening. We will try to keep pumping out shows for you every 2 weeks if we can.
Yes, we can. Yeah, appreciate it, Casey. That's awesome, man.
All right. So we got a busy show. And I have titled today's show Episode 16, Setting Things in Motion.
Yes.
Chris and I are going to be going through the setting checklist, the setting sheet that's on page 137 of your Book of Genesis. And we're going to be filling it out for the setting that we brainstormed in our last session.
That's right.
But before then, we should probably do something else here.
Yes. We've got to find somebody to give 50 pieces of awesome to.
All right, let's do it, man.
All right.
Welcome to 50 Pieces of Awesome, dude. This is a show segment we do where...
Whoa. Like Keanu, right? Whoa.
Damn it. I was doing so well. No, this is a show segment where Chris goes out on the whole worldwide web.
Yep.
And finds something awesome and brings it to your attention and mine. So, Mr. Holmes, what have you got for us today?
Well, as you all probably know, I'm a sucker for pirates.
What?
I'm a sucker for fantasy. And there is a setting that Noah Jam 325 made called Gentlemen of Fortune, Fantasy on the High Seas. And oh yes, everybody, this is Fantasy on the High Seas because I could play damn Sea Dwarf. I could play Jungle Elf. I could play a Swamp Orc. Yes. You can play all of these things. And there it is like 52 pages of awesome. The map is awesome. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's a lot of different ports he has in here, a lot of different places to go. Nice table of contents to start with. Even, he's got a 15-page adventure called New Beginnings in this thing, too, which is very nice. Got a character sheet, vehicle sheet for your ships. And, by the way, bringing in Makiwa's Age of Sail book for this setting would be perfect if you wanted to add more ships and such to it, which there was an update to that a couple weeks ago. There are... Okay, so I got to go... Okay, there was a couple custom rules here, which is great. I mean, custom rules for different settings. We've seen it in Savage Worlds. And I like this. I like people coming up with these custom setting rules. So it's something called Roll the Bones. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, but did he steal that from me?
Might have.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Okay, so basically, when a player or a Nemesis level NPC fails a skill check, you could spend a story point to roll the bones. And as an out of turn incidental, to immediately succeed at the check, but at a cost. Oh. And everybody who has a force die out there, you can use your force die, because if you have 2 white pips, it's a very minor cost. 1 white pip is a minor cost. 2 black pips that come up, a very severe cost. Now, there weren't any examples, but you can only imagine what that can be. So that's kind of cool. I like that. The other thing is song and dance number. So I am going to read this word for word, and I think I'm going to make you giggle here, Tony. And there's even a picture. Okay, here we go. It's called Song and Dance Number. If every player in the session breaks into song and completes 1 pirate shanty together, every player earns an additional 5 experience points for the session. Can only be earned once per session.
That is freaking amazing.
And he put a picture of, like, this has got to be like the Pirates of the Caribbean on stage thing, maybe in Vegas or something. But it's
that's great.
You imagine? So I played this game called Kobolds Ate My Baby. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know if you've ever played it or not, but I think so. So basically, you're kobolds. You come out of a cave and you go steal babies from a farm or whatever and bring them back to your king to eat. I know, pretty disgusting. But anyways, it's a beer and pretzels kind of game. Well, if your kobold dies, you have to come up with an epic tale about him, and then you could re-roll another one and then continue. So this is kind of what that reminded me of. So.
Gotcha.
Anyways, that's pretty funny.
That's a cool rule, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I guarantee, if it requires the entire party's participation,
yes,
very few people are gonna enact that one. I would give them 10 XP if you got an entire party to do it. But
exactly. I think that's just and it's things like that. Noah Jam that it's have fun, man. If you're having fun, it's what it's all about. If you're having fun, you win at role playing. And then, obviously, setting specific skills. And there are some magic skills, specific magic, like voodoo, minstrel, which is like verse. Celestial is your divine. Primordial is your primal skill, magic skill. And he does have a quote-unquote spellbook area where came up with some pre-made spells, if you will, that gives a flavor of spells for the setting. And I suggest people, if you want to do that for your setting, to do it, to kind of give a nice feel for what the setting is kind of all about. And yes, my voodoo shaman can have a shrunken head magic implement.
I saw you put that in the notes. I was like, what? That's cool.
Yeah, so little things like that all make this pretty cool. And of course, there's a copy of the pirate code towards the back of the book. Mm-hmm.
I think we may have finally found something that might convince an old friend of ours to play Genesis.
I'm pretty sure. Who are you thinking? Is this Gary?
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, guess what? I'm going to run 50 fathoms for you. Oh, wait a second.
The Genesis version. But I saw one other thing that caught my eye in your show notes here.
Yeah, man.
You got a thing that you could play a Cyclops?
Hells to the yes, buddy.
Oh, that's awesome.
You could play a Cyclops. Let me see. That's page 10. Let me give you the stats for Cyclops. Jamie, I know you're listening to this. I know you're curious. He calls it an Okunus, or Cyclops. They're about 6'8", pink, brown, or orange fleshy tones. I think I've seen all of those tones on Jamie when we were at Con on the Cob last time. Brawn of 3, agility of 1, intellect of 1. Duh, Cunning of 2, willpower 2, presence 2, wound threshold 8 plus brawn, strain threshold 12. Yeah, 12 plus willpower. Starting experience 90. Starting skills, perception, or vigilance, and then an ability called Strongback. They calculate their encumbrance threshold as 10 plus brawn because they're just big. And brawny.
That's a species ability taken from Star Wars.
Is it really? Oh, cool.
Yep, taken right from one of the Splat
What
books.
is it the Whippet, probably?
No, it is it's the old guy, Master Sinube's race. I can't remember what the
I don't know
name of him is, but anyhow, yeah, it's going to drive me nuts now that I can't remember it.
You go look it up. So you can also play poison frogs, half snakes, wise rabbits, cursed half crows, sharp-toothed crocs. That actually, yeah, the pictures that he's got in here of these things is pretty cool. Very evocative, I must say. And a golem. And, of course, the cyclops.
Very nice, dude.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I like it a lot. I would totally run a campaign in this. I would play in it. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's pretty sweet. So yeah.
So
a couple of the careers, the careers we've got like captain, a stormcaller, a helmsman, escaper, a shipwright, a witch doctor, a barber surgeon, a powder monkey. I love it.
I found it.
You did, yes.
Yeah, it's Cassian.
Cassian. Okay.
Yeah, right. And they're in Disciples of Harmony, and it is called Strong Back, and it is their brawn plus 10.
Cool. And one thing that he did here, and I can't remember what page it's on, but he created equipment kits. Meaning, for gear.
Oh, starting character gear or what?
Starting kits, yeah. Like you have an alchemist kit, or a barber kit, or a survival kit. Survival kit comes with tarp, lodestone, flint and steel, a knife, 3 torches, net, rope, water skin, and a blanket.
Nice.
Navigator's kits. So that's kind of instead of listing a bunch of different things in a gear, just get these kits. Couple extra things. I wonder what barber's grog is. That sounds interesting.
It could be what I'm drinking. I don't know.
Oh, well, it's vile brew that tastes even worse than bilge water. Nice.
Oh no, that's not what I'm drinking. Well.
Yeah, this is great.
Sounds good. I'm going to give it a look. I'm definitely going to add that to my list of Genesis settings that good work. And Mr. Noah Jam 325, whomever you may be and wherever you are out there, we give you 50 pieces of awesome.
Oh yeah, well done. On to the next section then, okay?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. All right, welcome back, everybody. Open up your book of Genesis. How's that one? Was that a little better? Hallelujah. No. Okay, so yes, open up your book of Genesis to page 137 if you want to follow along. Or open up the PDF that you could download from the Genesis website for the setting worksheet.
And read the fine print at the bottom. Says print it out so you don't have to open it up the book anymore.
Exactly.
You have permission to photocopy this and print it, by the way.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So let's go through this thing, man. We have a few sections to go through.
So, well, we came up with a name for our setting. I don't know if we did that at the end of last show or not, or if that was just something you and I kind of did via text messaging back and forth. But we are going to call the setting that we brainstormed in our last session, episode 15. Go back and check that out if you have not listened. We should probably put that disclaimer out, because if you don't listen to that show before you listen to this one, you will be lost.
You probably will be, yes.
But we had brainstorming with Brian in our last episode, and we came up with a setting. And in that setting, we got really cool things. So we came up with a name for it. First thing we put at the top of our sheet, our setting name, Primordial Machina.
Yes. spelled machine with an A. I spelled it wrong the other day.
Twice.
And I think I said primeval mechana, too. Oops.
You just wanted it to be like Primeval Thule again.
Freudian slip, man.
Okay.
That's all it was.
So, we haven't got a world name yet. I mean, I bounced around a couple of them. I'm writing a little bit of history for the world, and I think I wrote just calling the world Aura, O-R-A-H, but I can't remember.
Okay.
But right now, it's just setting as primordial machina. That's what we'll call it for now. And I mean, when we get a little bit more into the history of the world, part 1, yep, we'll get more into that and have more detailed names. But right now, we just need to have the fact that we need a name for it overall, and we've got that.
I like it.
So our base setting genre, I think we combined 2.
Mm-hmm.
Our base setting and genre is fantasy.
Yep.
And Chris really wanted to have the Age of Gears, and so we went steampunk too.
Yeah, basically, it's steampunk fantasy genre here.
Yep. It's also kind of post-apocalyptic too.
Yeah, it is. It is. With the domed cities kind of scattered throughout and whatnot. And, yeah. So so there's our setting and our genre. What overall tone did we decide on?
Well, we decided on really just like that exploration.
Yeah.
And there needed to be reasons to explore. Mm-hmm. And that seemed like our number one theme. We also our number one tone. We also had some horror tone we were going to put in as a optional.
Yep.
Because of the ancient godly races or whatever they were.
Yep.
Elder gods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could. I think we kind of left it open where you could definitely give it that Cthulhu kind of. The more you learn of what happened back then, and the more artifacts you may find, the more crazy you get. Right? Yeah. All
right.
So there we go. And there's our setting. Our world, our genre, and our tone.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. So we need an overview. Now this is just a quick 3-line sentence. The overview. I kind of had this little thing that I typed up.
Okay. Let's hear it, man.
I'm trying to find it. It's on my mobile device here. Mm-hmm. The world of Aura, a lush world inhabited by men, dwarves, and the ancient fey gods. Great glistening golden cities spread across it, interspersed with lush magic gardens, soaring in the skies like enormous earthen clouds that were the alien enclaves of a fey god kings in their sky isles.
Cool.
Fallen in a war that should never have happened between the fey gods and the primordial elemental powers. Now, the world of Aura is a wasteland, awash with elemental, and that's as far as I got. Awash with elemental magic.
Awash with elemental magic and maybe chaos?
And chaos, yes. And that's pretty much, that's as far as I got. But, it's basically, it's a world that's post-apocalyptic. There was a war between gods and these elder primordial elementals. Mm-hmm. And it wreaked havoc, destroyed everything. Now all that's left are small enclaves of these domed cities that are steampunky in nature.
Yeah, yeah. They built themselves from the rubble of these ancient this ancient empire to a Victorian age steampunky level of technology / magic.
Yep.
World. Yeah.
So that's our overview. Okay. So then the next question what's it got here? I gotta get my reading glasses on.
So that was our overview, and then underneath here, so then the next section will be the genre/setting tropes and themes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so our first question here is, what tropes/themes about technology, human nature, morality, or reality are you including?
Well, we wanted to have the man versus nature theme. Yep. The idea that there is this primordial. I keep wanting to use that word. There's this powerful elemental magic out there that is just shredding the world apart and recreating it at the same time. Mm-hmm. And there are hardy survivors trying to build a life in this environment. Yep. So man versus nature. Then the second theme trope we had was exploration. There's ancient treasures that were lost during the war. Mm-hmm. And
it is human nature, dwarven nature, elven nature, maybe, to go gather and to go find and seek out, new technology and knowledge, really, right? The gathering of knowledge.
Right.
Look what happened.
And so we're, and then that was
solid.
That was pretty much. Mm-hmm. We didn't really have much else in that, did we?
I'm thinking really the only other trope, but I guess this kind of goes into the what is it? Would you say man versus nature?
Yeah.
I'm thinking we also have that man versus nature, nature versus technology. Struggle, or magic versus technology. Not magic versus technology, because magic really is technology, kind of. But we were talking about like the
new tech versus old tech, and
new tech versus old tech, or the eco-terrorists. That would be the man versus nature, or magic versus technology, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
So that trope.
Okay. So in that section, we would put in, anything that we felt like we wanted to have in the game. In this case, we wanted to have that kind of stuff. We wanted to have, we thought about having our race of clockwork, and perhaps there's kind of almost an idea of these are sentient machines, and maybe there are people out there that don't accept that they're sentient, that they're just machines and want to enslave them. That can be a part of it if we wanted to.
Right.
Those aren't things we've specifically emphasized, but those are things that can be in the game.
Yep. You could do something like clockwork rights, yay! Right? Instead of droid rights. Clockwork rights! So what tropes and themes are we excluding? I think one of the biggest ones we might be excluding would be good versus evil. Yep. Maybe, right? I mean, it's not necessarily a clear light side versus dark side, good versus evil. It's more of a survival.
I definitely wanted our ancient war to have been more of a there's more of a like a law versus chaos as opposed to a good versus evil. And so good. Yeah. We're not really touching on morality. You can play any level of morality in this game that you are comfortable with.
Correct.
The
law versus chaos. I like that. The chaos of the elemental and chaos of nature versus the laws of physics, the laws of magic, those kinds of things maybe, right?
The laws of technology,
laws of technology,
society, and so on and so forth. Yeah. All right, and then another one I wanted to exclude because I'm doing it in my other setting, and I don't think it fits here. Is like the superhero type, superheroic traits and things like that. That's another trope that we really aren't touching on. Their heroes they can be the lowliest of, farmer, or they can be the wrench turning tech in the back of the big giant steam mech,
right?
Or it could be a half elemental wizard. It really I wanted to have kind of not really have the everybody has to be a hero kind of thing.
Okay, so that could actually be maybe a trope that we might be subverting a little bit. Like, not everybody's a big damn hero. You're just a whomever trying to survive, trying to make it. You know, if that's probably the way you want to run your game. And I think this might be open enough to have whatever level, right? Mm-hmm. You want. Yep. So would we consider this a... So I'm of the like the high fantasy, low fantasy, high magic, low magic. I'm picturing this being kind of a low fantasy, almost high magic because of you know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of low fantasy, high magic. I mean, your low fantasy. Really, the difference between low fantasy and high fantasy is what you fight. 9 times out of 10, you're either fighting. In high fantasy, you're fighting monsters all the time. That's all you pretty much fight are monsters. Mm-hmm. In low fantasy, you fight other people.
Yeah, a little more grim and dark. A little more grim and dark kind of.
You fight against other people, and you fight against obstacles and nature itself, kind of, in low fantasy. More than, and you also have, in a war-torn world, you want to have kind of that kind of feel.
Yeah, and the feel that I'd also like to that this setting could evokes for me is even though society has rebounded, they're at a steampunk kind of level of technology. There's still that struggle for power, for people wanting to, hey, here's these resources, I need to get my hands on it, and I'm gonna sell it for all this money or whatever. Yep. Everybody wants that power struggle.
Well, I think we wanted to make pretty much most of our kingdoms oligarchies. They want to be, it's all about the ultra rich wanting to get ultra richer.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's more about economics than politics.
There you go. Cool.
So yeah, especially with dwindling resources, and again, we also had one that we are subverting. We can go into the subverting section here with this one. The trope of when with it was technology, man versus technology, but it's more of the old tech versus the new tech. It's the polluting old technology it's polluted their cities to the point where they're these horrible places to live, and if they continue this, there won't be anything left of their cities. So they're trying to convert to the new magic or the new technology, which is based off of magic, and so on and so forth. It was one of the ideas that we came up with. Yep.
And it's a little bit ironic because that new magic is actually coming from ancient artifacts and the ancient war. So it's we're kind of throwing that on its head a little bit, which I like that. That's pretty sweet.
Right. Okay.
All right.
So what other one other trope that we talked about that we wanted to subvert was the one of our races. We both of us being huge fans of dwarves.
Yep.
And these aren't mountain dwelling dwarves. These aren't your Scottish speaking dwarves. These are master creators of technology, and they have created these huge domed cities, and they're not your warring orc fighting dwarves. They're smart.
They're very neutral. They basically, they're Switzerland, man. If Switzerland can go around the world fixing everybody's cities and domes, that's what these dwarves do. Right?
So yeah, they're nomadic.
Yep, they're nomadic.
Yep, because their remaining city or cities, we hadn't decided on one or two.
Not sure yet.
Yeah. We called their mobile enclaves, and we got the idea from the upcoming movie,
Mortal
Engines.
Yeah,
and just that idea of a city that walks around. That's so cool. Or rolls around this wasteland, and these people. Or these dwarves that are on it, and they just go from one place to another. Making things and fixing things, and
basically, yeah. And that's actually kind of a good segue into the next section here: factions and organizations.
Right.
What are your major factions and organizations in the setting, and what are their objectives? This first one is, I think we were going to call it the Dwarven Enclave. Period.
Yep.
And that's what they do. They go around fixing what's broke.
Yep. And they're neutral towards all of the cities. Doesn't matter what the cities. If one city is ruled by one baron who decides that she wants to attack the lord of another city, and they send their armies through the wasteland to attack each other. Yeah, the dwarves are not going to be involved. They're neutral.
And I could totally see these guys being your typical stubborn dwarves, where you won't be able to bribe these guys. You're like, no, there's the cost. You can't really sway me. This is what it costs, or whatever. Right? There's no bribes going on. They just do what they do.
You want to buy 400 cannons? So does the other guy. That's you show me the coin, you can have the cannons.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, man. Yeah.
Yep. Because the dwarves know whenever they're done blowing each other up, they're going to be fixing it.
And it's okay.
Right.
That's kind of one of those jokes. What's the difference between a civil engineer and a mechanical engineer?
I don't know.
All right, mechanical engineer makes cannons and guns. A civil engineer makes targets. Right? I mean, sorry, everybody. If you're offended
great.
By that, it doesn't matter.
Wonderful.
And I'm an electrical engineer anyway, so.
Oh.
Okay. So what do we have? So another faction. You did mention we have this high society. Would they be considered maybe a faction, an organization? The rich trying to get richer?
The ultra rich.
Ultra rich, man.
Yeah. That can be split off into various different individuals, different movers and shakers throughout the world. But you have the high society, the ultra rich. They live in this Victorian utopia as far as they're concerned. Right. And everyone else dwells in squalor compared to these people.
And this hearing you talk about that, I see that when the setting kind of comes out and people start playing it and stuff, most of the cities are probably like that, but people can make up that their own other cities are run this way. You know what I mean? Like
not every city has to be that way.
Yeah, but for the most part, this rich trying to get richer, you could pretty much see in some of most of the major cities. We're thinking, just.
Oh yeah, no, I like the idea of kind of a living world where not everything is fleshed out, and if other people want to add to it, they can.
Yep. So then we had the other. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to go into my next one, which was the one that I wanted to do, which is the eco-terrorists.
Yes, that's what I was thinking too. Or the anti-tech terrorists.
The anti-tech terrorists, which I had an idea for this. So originally we were thinking, oh, we'll just have our elementals be. No, the elementals are people too. The amalgams, as I call them. They're just people who are trying to eke out an existence in this world. I like the idea of these are an ancient bloodlines of were creatures that they are passed down from generation to generation. They lived in the lush forests of the old kingdoms, and when the war happened, everything died, and they're all about wanting to destroy technology and let the earth return, let the world return to its natural cycle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so I think werewolves, werebears, were-rats, were-sharks, whatever, were-chickens, I don't care, whatever you want.
A tornado of were-sharks. I hear another movie coming on. No.
Sharknado 6, were-sharks.
Finn's gonna need himself a silver chainsaw. Silver chainsaw, right? Okay, anyways, let's don't want to go there.
Stay on track. Stay on track. Werewolves, werebears, were-rats. I mean, any were creature that you wanted to throw in there, we'll probably throw in a few in there, but they're an organized terrorist group. They actively go around and if the dwarves stood against anything, it might be these guys. Yeah. Because these guys are trying to undo everything the dwarves are building. So
yeah. Yep.
And with them they have powerful elementalists who, are capable of using these elemental chaos powers that come from all these hot zones that are out there in the world to create havoc that hurts the cities and their causes.
Yep.
So, that's one.
So
that's three, actually.
That's three. So the other one that we had made a note of are the founders. And these were going to be kind of a paladin order or a church for the greater good of mankind. And I was looking at, went on Pinterest and created that board for us. Just finding a bunch of art, just getting the creative juices flowing. And I'm seeing cathedrals and this art that's in this Victorian age. And I'm like, oh, that's a founders. That's a cathedral, the founders, and whatever. And just, I don't know. So that's one of the factions we were thinking of.
Yep. Nope. That's the founders were people who they have this church, and their church is their goody two shoes. So
you gotta have those in the world.
Right.
Why not?
And but they're all about creating this perfect new utopia for mankind, for everyone. It's not just, they also want to take the money away from the ultra rich. They want to create I almost want to say a religious socialist republic.
Kind of, yeah.
Yep. So cool.
So that could be fun to play with.
And so here we have 4 factions. That's what we have lines for, the 4 factions.
Yep.
Now we would really kind of then, for our movers and shakers section here, who are the major personalities in the setting and what are their objectives? Now we have not come up with this yet.
Not so much, though. I was thinking of, so we did have a note here, these merchant houses. And I'm wondering if they would even be another faction organization, or they could be put in this movers and shakers area. What are you thinking, Tony?
No, that's fine.
Because I have a note here, the Harkins and Atreides houses from from Dune, remember?
Yeah, that's right. We had kind of one that was into old tech and one that was into new tech. And they were basically trying to. I can't remember what we brainstormed, but
I have no idea.
I forgot to re-listen to the last week's episode, no, I believe that they were. One was old tech, one was new tech. One was pushing these guys that have been rich off of. They're like the oil barons. They've been rich off of the pollution. They're climbing the backs of the citizenry beneath them, and then on the other side, you've got these new tech guys that are, we found this way to harness these relics from the ancient past. All we got to do is go out and find these relics, and these things are a renewable source of energy. It's the whole new energy. And these guys are sophisticated and are, again, I think Harkonnen versus Atreides. Your Harkonnen are dirty, filthy, warlike. Your Atreides they're pretty. All of them they're clean. While they go to war, they do so honorably, and so on and so forth.
Right. And I could see that group being the driving force for like a new party of adventurers, a new set of explorers, right?
Right. So would we call these 2 guilds then?
Guilds. I like guilds.
Okay, so
that's a good name. Houses. You know what? I don't necessarily like houses because if we want to talk about like the rich getting richer, we can maybe have those, like those are maybe the house of whomever. But these merchant guilds are good because that implies they're spread out, right? Like you may have a merchant guild of the New Tech Guild or whatever we want to call it, right? are kind of spread out, and you can find them in really any city because there's always the search and the exploration for these ancient artifacts. And that's what this one guild does. Sponsors the adventurers and such.
All right, so we've got one guild, new tech, one guild, old tech.
Yep.
And then in our... we'll come up with names for them. I'll brainstorm something for these guys. I do my best brainstorming while I'm sitting on a forklift at work, not doing anything. So...
waiting to move shit.
Or waiting for an empty tank to dump things in. I make baby formula.
Okay,
so
there you go. Nice.
But anyhow, one guild new tech, one guild old tech, and they're, I put just new tech. I put next to them Atreides, and then the other one I put Harkonnen. So I knew what they meant to me.
So I'm sure you would have other merchant guilds, that they found more minor guilds that may handle your typical merchanty things, right? But these could be the major movers and shakers for the setting. Yeah. What else are we thinking? So this is like a major personality in a setting.
Yeah, because that's really what your movers and shakers are. So at the head of these two movements, these two guilds will come up with a guild master for each.
Yep.
And then I think maybe, okay, so we have so-and-so and the blank guild. Right. That is this organization that pushes... So, okay. So do we want to have one for the leader of the anti-tech terrorists people? Yeah, I was thinking. I just had this idea of like almost like a reborn primordial, like an elemental of extraordinary power that is, basically it's the werewolves or rats and all them are like, this is the god they worship, or so to speak, that it's a living being that runs that tells them, maybe it's grounded to a specific spot. And so that would be their home, where their base of power is. And it's this, maybe it's a tree, maybe it's a ent. The last surviving ent. Something like that. Or maybe it's just this ancient, powerful elemental that has decided that these are its disciples. And they worship it, and they want to do its bidding and return the world to its natural state. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, buddy.
Yeah, man.
What do you think? What do you think? The tree idea, or you like the...
When you said the tree, then I thought of a burning bush.
You say burning bush, I'm like, my pubes are on fire. So I don't know if that's the same.
No. I hear these 10 commandments. No,
right.
That kind of burning bush. I don't know. I like the idea of it being someplace. Let's think. You know what? Let me pull on this thread a little bit. What I'm thinking. I'm thinking when you say that, I think of a druid grove, right? A sacred druid-like grove, and I see these were creatures being almost kind of like a Stonehenge type of area, where this primordial reborn maybe is, and these druids, we don't have to call them druids, but you know what I mean. You know, like in the old D&D where you only have certain number of them in the circle. Like you have the leader of your werewolves, the leader of your were-tigers, your whatever, right? They gather in this grove at this place where the primordial power is. Maybe it's fire, maybe it's all 4 elements. You know what I mean? I don't know. I
like it.
I'm just kind of throwing spitballing on top of your spitball there.
Oh,
a little bit. Okay.
Wait a minute. There's this all-powerful elemental being that's tied to a spot.
Okay.
And yeah, I like it. It's an old grove, ancient grove, and this thing gets more powerful the more nature returns to the world. The more cities are destroyed and taken over by the wilderness. The more and more of that happens, the more powerful this thing gets, and that's why they want to free it.
And maybe it's okay. Yeah, maybe it is a being. Maybe it's just a power that they draw from. Like a font of power that grows that they want to feed.
A sentient font?
Something like that. I don't know. Something along those lines.
I like that idea. Let's call this
and maybe it's all elements in this
sentient font of power.
Maybe it's here we go. Maybe it's almost a gateway to the elemental chaos, where it's not just one element; it's all, including maybe the void, or the blood. What were we talking about? Blood source? Not void.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something, whatever.
I like the idea of a sentient font of power in a sacred grove that it's enigmatic, whether it's the power itself or whether there's a being on the other side.
Doesn't matter.
Or whether that's an enigmatic thing. What matters is this thing is guiding these tribes of these packs of were creatures to destroy technology and return the world to its natural state.
Yeah. And this could be a place, we were talking about that ancient war where the primordials died, the ancient elven gods died. Maybe this is a place one of them fell. And a crater or wherever, right? I mean, call it what you will. It's sacred to them. Like a sacred grove. There we go.
Yeah.
There's some spitballing for you out there, everybody. That's how that works.
So we'll come up with a name for that creature.
And that's most definitely a mover/shaker.
Oh yeah, because he's got all these eco-terrorist were creatures and whatnot that work for him. So you mentioned the founders.
Yes.
What if the founders weren't just led by one person, but were led by a triumvirate?
Three?
Three.
Are we going to say would this triumvirate be 3 leaders of 3 churches in 3 different cities? Or are we talking about one major megacity?
One major megacity led by this triad of rulers that come from 3 different walks of life. One is a technologist.
Okay.
One is a mage.
Okay.
And the other is a warrior that stands between the two.
Cool.
Kind of like this, and this church is there's 3 arms of the church. There's the ones that use magic. There's the ones that use technology, that are builders and creators who are trying to create this society. And then on top of all that, you have this warrior division of like Templar type knights, and they're all led by this one leader who's part of the triad.
Cool. So if we look at a triangle and the point being up, the top point would be this warrior, and the 2 bottom points to the left and the right would be the mage and the technologist. One on each point, right?
I just had a name pop into my head.
Go for it.
The Triad of Synchrony.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
And, synchrony being this kind of this synchronicity that they're trying to reach, this where magic, technology, and humanity all blended together.
Yeah, and I like the 3 because multiples of 3, you see that in a lot of different societies and whatnot. The 9 pillars.
That's a trope that you want.
It is,
Some
definitely.
tropes you want to repeat tropes, but you want to turn them on their head a little bit.
Yep.
And I like this. You got a martial arm, you've got kind of this builder arm, and then you've got like this knowledge arm to the church.
There you go. I like those. Yeah, keep making note of those 3 you just said. I like that.
Martial,
builder, and what was the
knowledge.
Knowledge. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I like that. I like that a lot.
All right. So that's the group that leads the founders, the Triad of Synchrony.
Cool.
All right. And
the only other thing that I was thinking of, a leader. Now, granted, we can have our major leaders in different cities, whoever they may be, but I'm looking at the Dwarven Enclave. Do they have a single leader, or is it just basically a clan-led, everybody's equal, this is what we do kind of thing? Or
I don't know.
Or is that going to be more of a minor personality? They're just kind of there.
Well,
right?
They're an artistic society.
Okay.
They're an artist. They're all artisans, right? Mm-hmm. They're creators. What if they were led by these elders but they're the retired builders? A council of what I want to call them guild masters, but it's not what I mean. A council of master craftsmen. Here's a
thing. One thing you saying that, I like the elders idea, and you know what it made me think of? It made me think of one of the later Star Trek movies where Spock went to grab all the elders out, because if not, all the knowledge of their society would be gone. It's like, well, why the fuck didn't you write it all down? Maybe the dwarves don't write all this stuff down. It is passed along. So if it is ever written down, somebody can get a hold of it, and they don't.
Yeah,
write it down. They just this elder council, whatever we call it, right, has the knowledge, and they pass it all down. What do you think?
I love it. I want to call them the Greybeards.
Do it. I'm good with that. Call them.
I know it's stealing from Skyrim, but God, I love calling. Greybeards.
When you say Greybeards, I think old Grognard's gamers, man.
I think Skyrim.
You still think Skyrim? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because there's a council of, Greybeards.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I played Skyrim like a little bit. I don't. Okay, cool, dude. Cool. I like it.
But I still think I like the idea of the Greybeard. We'll call them the Greybeard Thanes.
Cool. I like it.
There.
Yeah. And I'm thinking they may have, and however many there may be, each one has a knowledge specific for a certain piece of these domes or whatever they do, right? One may be a stonemason, one might be a metal worker, the other one might be, I don't know, whatever else we come up with, but not one of them would be. You need the whole council. You need all of the knowledge. Not just one person has it all. It's the whole council that has it, right?
Right. I like the idea of it being an odd number just because that's how you break ties. Mm-hmm. So, 5, 7, 9, 13. Those are all great numbers.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I like it. The Greybeard Thanes that run the Dwarven Enclave.
Yep.
And what I've got is they're ancient craftsmen who carry the knowledge of the dwarven people. That's what I've got. And they also pick and choose what projects get done and where the dwarven city goes and things like that. And
they're in the dwarven city. They travel with it. It's all there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're deep in it.
Yeah. It's like a mountain that moves around almost.
Yeah.
But not, because they're not those kind of dwarves.
I like it.
Or maybe it is. Maybe they're like, yeah, we move mountains. Because look, it's right back here. No. Anyway.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So we've got our couple of movers and shakers. We've got basically 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, dude.
All right. So now we go down to the major species types.
Okay. We were talking. We did make mentions of the races and archetypes.
Right. We have the first one that we mentioned was the amalgams.
Yep. They are the playable elementals.
Yeah, they're basically your Genasi. They're tied to one element. You have earth, air, fire, and water amalgams.
Yep.
But they're a little more elemental than humanoid. A little more, they're humanoid elementals as opposed to humans with elemental bloodlines. Like
yes.
That was kind of what I was, envisioning them.
It's your bonfire that looks like a human.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, and that was our description of them. They're sentient, humanoid elementals.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. What's the next one?
The next one we have are the dwarves. You can play dwarf because Tony and I love dwarves, and damn it, you could play dwarves in this setting. And like we said, they're the nomadic dwarves that go around in the city, going from city to city.
Yep. Okay. And then next we had the clockwork.
Clockwork humanoids.
Now, I had an idea I brought to you before the show, an audible since our last episode. We talked about the clockwork were creations of the dwarves, but I had a cooler idea that the clockwork were actually creations of a race long dead, a race that was supposed to be gnomes, and these clockwork have been around for centuries. They're sentient clockwork machines that have their own agenda, and they are kind of looked down upon by everyone else because they don't really have a place in society. They don't have a home of their own. They're kind of always stuck doing menial tasks, manual labor, because they're tireless.
Yep. I had a thought that just popped in my head. I want to get it written down real quick.
Okay.
One of the elders on the Dwarven Council is a gnome. But he looks like he's a dwarf, basically. You know what I mean? Not a dwarf, but you know what I mean. He is a dwarf, and that guy has the knowledge that gets passed down for these clockworks. Maybe. Okay. I don't know. Because we said there may or may not be. That's maybe.
I wrote it down in parentheses with multiple question marks. So
yes, that could be a yes. That could be a Tony going. No, we're gonna scratch it out. No fucking.
No, it's something that requires thought.
Yeah, it's a thought that popped into my head. I wanted to capture it. Sorry. Okay, keep talking about the clockwork.
Nope. Lightning in a bottle is what we're trying to reach here, but sometimes you just get a spark on a fart in the dark. Okay.
I never heard that before. That's pretty cool.
I just made it up.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so clockwork, they're basically these steampunk machines brought to life. Yeah. And my idea is that we would just basically copy the droids from Star Wars, only make them steampunk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So think droid with gears. Is what I put down for their description.
And then the other one, there are other. Were you done with your thought on gnomes? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to really interrupt you. Well, I did mean it because I did, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. Yeah, well, just that the gnomish race is gone. That they're the makers of the clockwork. Yep. That's why there are no new clockwork being made except for by other clockwork.
So we could say thank the maker.
Yes, thank the makers.
Thank the makers.
They're gone, but maybe there's still some out there. Or are they? Which brings me to your thing. Yeah, they're just maybe they're a hidden society. Ooh. Yeah. All right.
Bum bum bum. And then the other one, Brian had the last one, which were humans. Which is
humans
with the different archetypes.
Yeah, and we don't need many. Just 3 or 4.
I think taking the standard ones out of the core rulebook would just be fine, because you're going to have your laborers, you're going to have your socialites,
yeah,
you're going to have your intellectuals.
Yeah.
What more is there, really? I mean, that's the 3, isn't it?
There's 3, and then there's the standard human. 4.
Yeah. So the 4. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. 4 core. Got it.
Yeah, there we go.
So grand total races, playable races. We've got 4 elementals, 4 core humans, clockwork, and dwarves. We have 10.
Yeah, perfect. That's nice. I like it.
Good round number.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so we have now down the right-hand side of this setting sheet, we have 2 columns. I'd like to start at the bottom one first, because that seems more appropriate to our setting. Mm-hmm. We can do that one pretty quick.
Yep.
So technology level. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Age of Steam.
Yeah, Age of Steam.
And fantasy. And powerful relics. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
You could put fantasy / maybe elemental magic, right? That was kind of our. Well, is that technology? Magic. We were kind of saying magic is technology a little bit.
Maybe
not.
I thought we were taking powerful relics to make technology with those.
Yes, that's right. Oh, I had a note here: elemental rune shards.
Yeah.
That's
those were our. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so Age of Steam, steampunk. Yeah, the Age of Steam, steampunk, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we're gonna have cannons. There's gonna be black powder pistols. There's gonna be Gatling guns. Yep. There's gonna be weird science alchemy machines that mimic magical effects, like shooting a lightning gun and things like that.
I could see there being airships. Steam powered and like coal steam powered and maybe air elemental bound.
Yep.
I'm thinking the Eberron setting a little bit too could play.
Yeah, you
some
could tweak
elements
some of that.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. I'm drawing from that as a little bit as a resource. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You could totally have elemental bound, where you're not just binding elementals themselves to these ships, but they were created in these elemental hot zones, and they're bound with that power. So you've got like a elemental submersible ships, and like we said, maybe the power that powers it is one of these elemental rune shards. It's just pulling the air elemental power or the water elemental power for, say, a submersible. Yeah. Right. And then you've got like these huge overland mechs. Mm-hmm. Steam mechs.
Yeah.
Almost like steam jacks from what's that damn setting?
Yep. I know it. Darn it. In Iron Kingdoms.
Iron Kingdoms. That's right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I'm
the
thinking
steam jacks.
Mechanized.
The
you could
jacks.
even have steam mechs. Yeah, the jacks. Mm-hmm. Something like that.
And of course, like we had mentioned, the big mortal engine dwarven city that goes around. That's like the epitome of this this mech moving around, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay. Well, then, last but not least, we kind of have to have setting-specific skills.
Yepers. Let me go find the skill list.
The Genesis skill list
is on page. The complete skill list is on page of the core book 53.
53 of your book of Genesis.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Well done, sir. So let's see. So let's go down the list then. Alchemy. Well, there it is. Steampunk. Yes.
Yeah, alchemy was going to be intellect based, and that was going to be our mad science. It's going to be almost kind of as powerful as magic.
Mm-hmm. Now, are we going to call it alchemy, or are we going to call it mad science?
I think I don't know. What do you think?
Or do we have both?
Do you want to have alchemy and mad science? I think they both fall under the same category. I think mad science is just more of an advanced version of alchemy.
True.
We'll call it mad science.
We could call it mad science. Let's do that.
That'd be fun.
Let's flip it. Yeah, dude.
All right, let's call it mad science.
Yep, there's that. Now, we weren't going to have arcana, but
we divided it.
We divided it into elemental magic. So we have air.
We divided it into 5 magics.
5 of them.
Remember?
Yep. We have air.
We have now.
Right.
We also tied them all to different individual stats, and here's a good place to make sure we have that. So our mad science was intellect based.
Yes.
All right. So air.
We had as cunning. Magic. I have it as cunning.
Okay.
I have fire as presence.
Okay. Hang on, I'm writing all this down, buddy, by like old school. So.
Oh, pencil and paper. I like it, Tony.
Ah. All right. Fire was agility.
Fire was presence.
Presence. That's right.
Earth.
That's right. Water was agility.
Yep. Yeah. So water was agility.
Okay.
And we had earth as brawn.
Okay. Earth is brawn.
And then we had the blood magic, or blood sorcery, as willpower.
Yeah. And then blood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is willpower based. Got him. All right.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Okay, so that's where all of our awesome magic powers and stuff come from, is all those skills. Mm-hmm. With mad science being something unique, you basically are whereas the way I had an idea was that you could, if you're doing air magic. Now this is for future reference, but if you're doing air magic, we're going to set it up so that when we do our magic talk about the magic for here, we're going to talk about the individual. We're going to have one type of spell that they're better at, one that they cannot do, each one of them, and then we are going to have, of course, an element that the element that they are can be added to the spell, whether it's a barrier, whether it's a attack spell, whether it's a augment. It adds that trapping, so to speak, to steal a word from another setting, of the element for free.
Yeah.
And
we'll go into that a little more details next when we talk about the magic part.
Yep, and then we kind of talked about how blood magic was going to work, and also in that system and work slightly different. Mm-hmm. And then our mad science was going to give us the ability to combine effects, which is something you won't be able to do with your individual elemental magics.
Exactly. So we could combine what we were talking. We can combine a fire and an earth shard and get some sort of lava effect.
Correct.
Or a fire and a water elemental and get some sort of like steam effect or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. And of course, mad science is not one you can generally do on the fly. That's one you're going to have to plot out ahead of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, talking about magic, and magic skills, we have to talk about the flip side, which is the knowledge skills, or just one knowledge skill that powers these, right? In a way, right? That are kind of linked to these. Do we want to go into those now?
Yeah, no, we can go right into the knowledges, because these are a part of the skill list, and they do tie together. Great segue, buddy.
Thank you, sis. Now, granted, that's way down the list here, but we might as well talk about the knowledges here. Now, do we want to have separate knowledges?
Oh, I want to have several knowledges. I like the idea of having a knowledge science.
Okay.
I like the idea of having a knowledge nature.
Or maybe we don't call it nature. Maybe we call it elementals. Or maybe
knowledge
just
elemental.
Knowledge elemental. Would we have a knowledge nature? Or not?
Why not?
Or would knowledge nature, or would knowledge elemental be our knowledge nature skill?
Yeah, I think that would work. Knowledge elemental, knowledge science, knowledge hidden. I mean, there's so much hidden knowledge in this.
Yeah.
And that could be various different types. The technology of the dwarves, the ancient secrets of the gnomes, the fey lords that ruled everything, and their magic and how it worked, and
cool.
That all of your knowledge hidden could fall under that category.
Knowledge hidden. Now I've seen, and in Tiernoth they call it lore. Do we call it that, or do we call it ancient knowledge? Ancient
History,
or knowledge history. That could do too. History. I like hidden. Hidden knowledge. I like.
Okay,
that.
so we've got knowledge hidden. Mm-hmm. Knowledge elemental.
Mm-hmm. Knowledge science.
Okay.
Now, would I'm guessing our air, fire, earth, water magic skills would be linked to elemental.
Right.
Our mad science magic, quote unquote, skill. Is it a magic?
It's a blending of magic and technology, is what it is.
And that would be our science. That would be knowledge science, right?
Yep.
And then would our blood magic, our blood sorcery, be linked to the hidden?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then we need just basically one straight up knowledge for everyone else, and that's the knowledge history.
Okay.
Or lore.
That's cool.
What do you prefer, lore or history?
I kind of like history.
Okay.
I think I like history better.
All right. So that covers 4 knowledges.
4 knowledges. 3 of them are linked to magic. The history is linked to other things. Mm-hmm. Now, would we... So, because we have these movers and shakers of this high society, would there be a knowledge that we would want for that? Like knowledge, like knowledge society, which knowledge society could handle your upper society, your lower society. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
Streetwise covers yours, depending on your upbringing. Streetwise kind of covers both of that. But I like where you're going. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not so much knowledge of it. Okay, so I'm thinking back to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. You had a knowledge you had a knowledge underworld, but you also had your streetwise. Well,
yes.
What if we did have this knowledge society, and it just basically has 2 sides of the coin, like you said? Mm-hmm. It basically where you're from. That's more of what this is more based on your background. Knowledge society is based on, and I don't think I want to call it society because it's based on your background.
Do we want to
almost want to call it like
do we want to have social classes? You have your low class, mid class, high upper class. I don't know. That's a little too real life.
No, I mean that's something we could think about later. Mm-hmm. Maybe even adding as a separate, monetary system or something for starting character. You get to roll your history, where you come from.
Maybe a cast.
Yeah, your cast. You roll your cast, and that's just do you come from a martial family? Do you come from a merchant family? Do you come from a poor family? It can be something that people randomly roll or choose. Obviously, everybody's going to choose to come from a rich family if you let them choose.
And your knowledge, and you're thinking, and so what I'm hearing is that this knowledge cast skill or whatever it is, you just know about that cast. You just know information about the low society or martial society, that kind of stuff. You're going to know your background. Mm-hmm. And there's a word I'm searching for. It's not caste. It's not society. It's we'll figure it out.
For now, I'm just putting it as knowledge social.
Gotcha.
But I have
hereditary.
No.
No.
Heredity.
Rank?
Yeah, we can't say it. So
Rank?
we probably shouldn't choose
I know.
it.
Cultural level? I'm doing like a synonym.
Culture. That's the one.
Hey,
Jeez.
I could even spell culture. That it is. There it is. Knowledge culture. That's it.
Dude,
You're right.
I can't believe it took me so freaking long to freaking think about it. I knew I had a word. Knowledge culture.
Well, I did a synonym search on Cast. Just start rattling off shit.
Y'all need to get you some culture.
That's right. So let's see. So read those off again. We have the three.
We have 5. We have knowledge,
five.
Knowledge elemental, knowledge science, knowledge history, and knowledge culture.
That's a lot.
That's
five.
great.
5 is good. I like that. 5 is good.
Max 5, and I like it because we have this book is it's going to be a book eventually.
Yeah.
This setting is kind of a kitchen sink. So having, we always say 3 to 5 knowledges. Well, we're at our max number.
Yeah, it is. All right. So we hit the.
We go through the list and hit the list for ones that we want.
Yep.
That don't show in every setting. Which
right.
I mean,
so
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. So there's a So the all settings one. Well, I'll just list those real quick. We have athletics, brawl, charm, cool, coordination, deception, discipline. Knowledge. We've already broken up. Leadership, mechanics, most definitely, and we'll call it mechanics too, right? Medicine, negotiation, operating. Operating. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's more operating like ships or these airships, right? So that's definitely appropriate for here.
Oh yeah.
Perception. What's the resilience, skullduggery, stealth, streetwise, survival, vigilance.
Right.
Cool.
All settings for all those.
All settings. Right. Okay. So now let's go back to the top of the list.
All right.
What ones? Okay. So astrocartography is for space opera. Do we want... Now, I don't see navigation in here. Do we want something like that? Or not?
Well, I like the idea of... Because we have all these elemental hazard zones.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like the idea of having a navigation skill. That kind of... I mean,
where you can navigate.
It's almost like knowledge geography, but really it's more about being able to navigate these elemental hot zones and avoid them, or
I like it.
Use them to your advantage. Even.
Okay, let's make a note of that one. Then, navigation will definitely be one.
So we'll put navigation in there.
Yep.
All right,
throw that one.
And it's going to be intellect based.
Yes,
always should put that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So what's our next skill?
Well, I'm going down and I'm seeing the next one that
computers.
Computers doesn't really
not
fit.
So much. Nope. Divine. No. That
we don't have divine.
One.
Nope.
Driving. Definitely.
Driving. We're going to put in there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it even says steampunk. So perfect.
Mm-hmm. And then next is gunnery.
Yep. Perfect. Oh, that's perfect.
Oh yeah, we want vehicle-mounted weapons. I can't wait
you
to
said
use.
Cannons. Yes, cannons.
So gunnery is going to be in this for sure.
Yep. All right. Then the next one, we have melee, melee heavy, melee light. I'm thinking we go with melee because it says steampunk is for melee, right? It's going to be, and I believe so. Let's refresh the reason for that is. Melee weapons would be less pronounced in a steampunk, a little more higher technology setting, right? And that's kind of why we just go with melee.
Right. And then your range is going to be divided into 2 when we come to it.
Exactly. Okay. And then...
All right, so we're down... so piloting, I don't see.
I don't see it. I see operation...
Mm-hmm.
Operating being used for these airships. That's really the only thing you're going to be able to pilot.
Or even the submarine type ships,
yes, exactly.
too. Same thing.
and then maybe even like if we have steampunk trains, that would be probably operating as well. I'm thinking.
Sure. So we're not going to do piloting then. Okay.
No, I'm thinking it's more operating.
All right.
Unless, hang on a minute. Let's take a step back here. I did find a picture of a steampunk glider, like a steam-powered glider. That would probably be piloting, but you could
just use driving or piloting for that. If it's a single man, driving or operating.
Yeah.
Operating just sounds like a much more operative skill for piloting is for jets and freaking spaceships.
Okay, well here you go. Let's go back. Okay, so maybe I do have the answer to this one. How about a mech? How about one of these steam mechs or steam jacks? If you can, would that be driving, or would we want a special skill for that, or would that be operating? What do you think? I mean, we don't necessarily want to split out, or do we want to make a special skill for that?
You know, not just anyone can jump into a mech. A trained guy can pilot a mech. I like the idea.
But would it be a little more? Would it be a skill that's a little more generic, like piloting quote steam? Oh, what do you call that? I don't know.
Pilot, Chris.
Yeah.
Think about what our setting name is.
Yeah, Mechana. Piloting Mechana.
Pilot Machina.
Pilot Machina, right.
Yeah. That includes a steampunk flying individual, basically something that only one pilot could be in. Whether it be a mech, whether it be a steampunk powered motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. So we do want piloting parentheses Mechana.
Yep, pilot Machina.
Machina, right? Okay. There we go. There it is. And that's the catch-all.
Yep.
If it's not a big airship, if it's not do we need driving then? Or would we be driving these or would we just use driving for it? Or do we just say piloting quote-unquote Mechana and we drop driving?
What do you want?
I don't know.
Do you want to have cars?
Yeah, I want to have a frickin' steam-powered motorcycle. My frickin' gnome tinkerer in WoW has one.
Well, I think I like the idea I like the idea of having a specific skill for piloting a mech. And we'll call mechs Machina. We'll just call him Machina.
Yeah. Cool.
And we'll leave driving for things like
other stuff.
A steam-powered glider or a steam-powered motorcycle or a steam-powered piloting Mechana will be the skill just
you would use for the mechs if you want to go that route. And make mechs a very big part of your campaign. They will be available. All right, sweet. I like it.
All right. And then last but not least, writing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait a sec. Well, we kind of skipped a couple here. We skipped primal, which we don't have.
Right.
And then of course with our ranged heavy and light, we'll go with range heavy and light. We already mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote those down. I just mentioned them earlier. I figured I wasn't going to mention them again. Mm-hmm. So now I'm down to writing.
Yeah, writing. I'm saying, well, it says steampunk settings. Yeah. I'm saying yes because of horses, man.
Oh, not just horses. What if I go into a water elemental manifest zone and I decide I want to freaking pilot a shark or ride a shark?
Perfect. I'm good with that.
Because
in one of those tornadoes.
Yeah, I want to be able to ride a shark into a tornado and have my Gatling gun mounted on its. I'm just kidding now.
Hey, that sounds like a pretty cool adventure there.
Yeah. All right. I think we got our skills, bud.
I'm pretty sure we do, and yeah, I like it.
And now we have a fully fleshed out, pretty with pencil scribbles all over it setting sheet.
Yes, we do. Can't wait to see it. Awesome.
All right.
And I am pretty sure one of the peeps on the Genesis forums has a downloadable, fillable one of these sheets.
Yeah.
If not, get on it, somebody. If you're listening. Cool. Man.
Okay. So.
Well, that took a while. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's fun. That's fun, man. That was very fun.
All right, so we have another section to our main section here, and this is where we normally would take and do setting the tone.
Yep.
You want to do that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is setting the tone, folks, and Chris and I don't have much for setting the tone. Normally we talk about what work we're doing with our settings, but I did a Middle-earth conversion, converting over the stuff that Cubicle 7 did for Adventures in Middle-earth, and I've got it pretty much done. I'm just working on adversaries slowly, creating the adversaries that Chris and I need, well, the ones I need particularly for my half of our adventure that we're running in November. Yep. Chris is going to handle a couple of his own there, and then there's there might be one that we may share. So I'm writing up stats for several. Cool. I don't know which one Chris plans on using. He just gave me a list, so
we'll figure it out.
But I'm going to do all the adversary stats for those, and that is it. That's all I'm working on. Yep. Besides constantly brainstorming about this cool new setting that I just sit at work and I'm like, and I start writing things down.
I know. Our setting the tone will probably just go morph into this. Primordial Machina. Okay, and then what I am doing, not primeval Thule. You got me.
I converted you.
All right, crap. I got a drink. Right. All right. Anyways, no, I'm actually. I've been putting together, creating a module, some GM and player library for Fantasy Grounds with the Tiernoth setting for Genesis, and learning how to code in Fantasy Grounds and doing mods and extensions and stuff like that, because it's what I do. I've got those ready, and if anybody wants that, I haven't put it up on the Fantasy Grounds forums or anything like that, because I copied a bunch of the Tiernoth stuff in there, shared it with a few of us that I know run games and whatnot. But if you guys want it, send us an email and I'll ship it off to you guys if you want to use it. If you're running stuff in Fantasy Grounds, I'll be happy to share it.
That's right. Yep, it really works well, and I get to pick on Chris for his spelling errors every once in a while, because we found one the very first night we played with it. You found his magic, his magic tomes. He spelled tomes magic tombs. So my buddy Dave's like, so I get to carry around a sarcophagus? Cool.
You bastard. Yeah, but it's stuff like that. Yeah. I quickly made the change.
It's all good.
Yeah, and if you guys, Dave, or you guys out there find any more errors, let me know. So, all right. Okay. Cool. All right.
Well, we want to get over to our next show segment, which is our favorite and yours. So let's do that. Okay, welcome to Advantageous Threats, our favorite show segment and yours, where we like to roll some dice.
Yes, we do. I have my dice out. I'm all ready to go.
Oh, yeah. So, you want to go first, Chris?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go first this time. And have you read mine already?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I thought it was cool.
And did you get the names of these peeps? Okay. So, I have a Cyclops witch doctor from Carcoon, which, by the way, that's the name of the the name of Noah Jam's world. Yes, I've made a Cyclops, and his name is Image. Yeah,
all right.
Image. That's Jamie spelled backwards, by the way.
All right.
He's on this ship called the Surly Bastard, and he wants to cast a spell called Spirit Door. It's this conjuration spell from page 29 of the Gentleman of Fortune book. And basically it allows him to contact the spirit world, allow them to kind of pull him through, and basically appear anywhere in extreme range. And where he wants to appear is on the rear of an attacking ship called the Jolly Dragon, captained by Sir Nafpets. It's going to be a daunting check. First off,
Okay.
that's the spell is a daunting check.
Alrighty.
And my witch doctor has an intellect of 3, and he has a voodoo skill of 3. Now, as he's doing this, he's actually shaking his bone rattle for a boost die.
Okay.
There's my check. Let me start pulling dice out. So that'll be 3
Now,
green.
Is this during a ship-to-ship combat?
This is during... Yeah, you know what? We'll say that it's kind of during ship-to-ship combat. Or, at extreme range, up to extreme range. Wherever. Anywhere between there. I'm thinking it's...
So, it's more of a chase?
More of a chase, or maybe it's this... maybe the Jolly Dragon is getting ready to get in position to fire upon the Surly Bastard. And he wants to basically appear right behind the captain and just pound him or something, right?
Okay.
Right on the deck. What do you think?
All right. So, let's say hostilities haven't started yet.
Okay.
Let's say that they are at, they're at extreme range, and that the Jolly Dragon is trying to get into range for their guns.
Yep.
Which, if we go back to Age of Sail, I do believe was long range. So it's going to be very shortly as soon as he gets into gun range.
Yeah, so he's got to do it quick.
There's an aura of anticipation on that ship as they're waiting to get into range. So they're all kind of staring straight forward, watching the enemy. I'm going to give you a setback die for their sense of readiness.
Okay, perfect.
The entire crew.
Now, do you think this check would be an automatic upgrade because of me being in the middle of the sea? And if it doesn't work, it's pretty detrimental. I might end up in the middle of the sea. And boom,
I think that's more of a reason why I would flip a story point. At this point, I don't think I'd auto upgrade. I was thinking auto upgrade if the combat was already happening.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. I mean, it could... Yeah, I was thinking this is more of a preparatory thing, and maybe this witch doctor will be just shaking things up when he gets over there. Creating some chaos.
Yeah. Sure.
All right.
So I will flip a story point, though, for that upgrade.
Okay. Yes, you did. And I will... and just because this is the first time I've actually made a roll in the Carcoon setting... I'm going to flip a story point and upgrade and put one of mine up there too.
Okay.
Because I'm
happy
pretty
with
sure
your pool.
I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last time I'm going to do this because that setting is cool. All right, here we go. Oh no. This might fail. It looks like. Oh yeah. I am going to fail.
Is there despair? Can Image be shark food?
No, he can't, but he failed. He failed with one threat.
Failed with one threat.
2 failures and 1 threat.
He's shaking his bone rattle.
Yeah.
And
which came up blank, by the way. That matters to you.
So I get to do all the narrative here. You got nothing.
I have nothing.
All right.
Nothing.
All right.
Do you want me to read you? Do you want me to read you the description of Spirit Door real quick? This might give you an idea.
Okay.
Okay, so Spirit Door is one of the more misunderstood types of spirits that roam the land of the dead. As long as you know how to coax them out, they can be invaluable allies. Their favorite animal is a rooster. Oh, damn it, maybe I forgot to give them a rooster. So if you offer them a rooster spur, they will appear before you. You can then step through them and travel through the spirit realm to appear anywhere within extreme range.
Okay. I have this idea. So it only lets one person travel through, and that's it, right?
So it would seem.
Okay, so there's a swabby running around, swabbing the deck.
Yep.
And soon as the spell happens and the spirit door opens, he walks through it by accident, and it closes. And then you hear off in the distance as this lowly deck swabby just ends up on an enemy ship, gets killed.
Wow, that did not disappoint, Tony. That's funny. That's good stuff. Well done, son.
So you wasted the strain for the spell, and because you you accidentally killed a crew member, the whole crew or the next person to go will suffer a setback die in the case of your threat.
Yeah.
So because the crew member just like, oh, that was Bill. Oh, Bill makes the greatest crumpets. Damn it.
He sure does. And maybe cyclopses shouldn't be witch doctors. I don't know.
Depth perception. Depth perception.
Depth perception. I know.
I guess the portal 10 feet away instead of 4. Whoops.
Oops. All right, man.
All right.
What do you?
All right. So for me, I chose to be the GM in my scenario.
Ooh.
I am the GM, and my nemesis adversary, Zoltan Donziker, a cult leader in a modern horror setting. He has with him a rival underpriest and 15 cultist minions in combat. He's using an augment spell to bolster them all against the PCs in an effort to buy him time so that he can summon an avatar of his dark god.
Sweet.
So he is trying to augment with the first target being his rival underpriest.
Mm-hmm.
That is augment has a base difficulty of 2 purple. Mm-hmm. He is adding 1 purple for extra targets and 1 to give it divine health or unholy health, so that his men will be more strong, more tougher.
Gotcha.
And just so you know, GM's note: 1 target is 1 minion group.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So with 15 cultists, I have these minion groups divided into 5 3-man minion groups.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
So right now I have 1 target of him and 1 minion group.
Cool.
But if I roll advantage, for each advantage I roll, I can add more minion groups.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Rock on, man.
So he has his holy icon, which is his altar to the Dark One that he is standing next to.
Nice.
And so that will reduce the difficulty by 1,
mm-hmm.
giving the 3 difficulty
Yep.
for the spell. His divine skill is 2, and his will is 4 for a grand total of 2 yellow, 2 green,
cool.
3 purple right
3
now.
Purple. Yep.
Now, I'm saying that since he is completely surrounded by his cultists and underpriests,
mm-hmm.
they're like really easy to get to. I think I should get a boost die because like all the people I'm targeting are like completely right there.
Well, you're the GM. Yeah, feel free.
So I'm going to give him a boost die for that. But
mm-hmm.
I look to the players and I would say, you have any reasons why this guy should get a setback die?
Yes, because you are at the altar of the Dark One. And if despairs happen, it's not going to be good for you.
So yes, is this an upgrade?
We're flipping it. We're flipping a story point to upgrade.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's that. And I honestly, as the GM,
I think maybe because
care if the minions are bolstered. This is just something that will make it harder for the players to get through.
Correct.
Them. So I wouldn't flip a story point here as a GM. I would save those for when he's actually going to summon the Dark One. So
Gotcha.
So
right.
In this case, I'm just going to roll it.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. First and foremost, I succeed.
Okay.
One single success.
Yep.
Okay. I had one single success and 2 advantage and a despair.
Oh, nice. Let me go to my book real quick. Actually, no, I know what I'm going to do with the despair. I'm pretty sure
Success means that my rival.
Yep.
And my rival, the first group of minions, and 2 additional groups of minions from my 2 advantage.
Yep.
For a total of 3 groups of minions plus the rival, are all going to get because of the divine health. They're going to get additional wounds equal to my ranks in knowledge, which is 2.
Gotcha.
So they're going to get 2 additional wounds, which is pretty awesome for a minion group.
Pretty awesome.
Okay,
that is good. That will make them a lot tougher.
Yep. Each one of those minions is going to get 2 extra wounds in that minion group, which actually comes out to 6 extra wounds, which is pretty bad. And then on top of that, they're all going to get an extra green die on their rolls that they're making. So they are feeling the power of their dark god channel into them.
Yes, they are. And so is Zoltan. He is feeling the power of the Dark One channel through him because he's basically being... There is a... Coming up from the altar is this dark... Well, you're the GM, but we're going to say...
No. I would say players come up with something good. What do you say?
We're going to say the, smoky dark tentacles start choking out Zoltan. And he's actually going to be unable to cast spells for the rest of the encounter. And I can do that with a despair. It's because he overexerts himself and he loses control of the Dark One. And it says he's unable to cast spells for the rest of the encounter. So good thing he bolstered those guys.
Yeah.
He can continue. I'm going to say he can continue to concentrate to keep the spell going, right?
Right.
But he can't cast anything else after that. He can keep these guys up and going, and hopefully his minions will help and save the day.
Definitely he's going to call that underpriest back and command him to do the summoning. No. You stay. You do the summoning.
the
Soul says the great Zoltan.
And the underpriest would be like, no way, man. Actually, Zoltan will be, you need to finish the ritual. Yes. Put the monkey blood in the pool. Okay. All right. Are we... well, hope you guys enjoyed that. Are we ready to end this thing?
Yeah. Let's go on out of here.
All right, man. All right, everybody. Well, that's our show for the night. Let me give a shout out to the Tabletop Twats. All about twats. Oh, so it's twats. I'm American. But they are 3 Brits. Nick, who has his very own beard. Harrison, who's part shark, part maid. And James, who's half gourd. All Asian, I guess. Yep. And it's all about tabletop RPGs. And I think it looks like they started another DCC RPG actual play called Foreign Nobility, set in their Ravenlord setting, which is Ravenloft, it would seem. So it's kind of cool. Essentially, yeah. So they're on SoundCloud.com at tabletop-twats. G+, Facebook, iTunes, Podbean, member of the Nerds International community. And yeah, that's what I got. Shout out. Great job, guys. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Yay. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I love it. I listen to it all the time.
Cool. I wish I had time to listen to more.
Dude, an hour drive, I got all kinds of time every day.
There you go. Awesome.
All right, so next we've got coming up just next week.
Yeah, this coming weekend.
This coming weekend, NivCon 2. And guess what, folks? I'm running Deep Madness, a Cthulhu-esque game. And if you haven't heard me talk about it already, you haven't been listening.
Or you haven't caught up yet. You haven't been like KC has. So,
but I'll be running that. We have a couple other Genesis games going on. There's also some Savage Worlds, some D&D. There's still games with openings, and they're all hours of the day. Seriously, the link will be in our show notes. Check it out. Maybe you can make a game. Some of them are only 3 hours. You don't have to have pay versions of Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds
to join and play, right?
Yep, you just have to have demo versions, and we're using the Nerds International Discord server, so you just have to have Discord, and voila, and we're going to play some games and have some fun.
Yepers. Yeah.
All right, and then we got something else coming up.
Yes, we do. We have what is it? Con and a Cob coming up on the 8th through the 11th of November. At
how far away is that?
That is going to be. Hang on a minute. You saw me looking right. It's going to be 1,413 hours and 38 minutes until I touch down in Cleveland.
And I'm
on the 7th, and he's picking me up from the airport. Yeah, bastards! I put that in our show. Yeah,
they can't stop us now.
That's right, they can't. Or 58 days, 11 hours, and 38 minutes from now. But who's counting, right? So yeah, that's going to go through Thursday the 8th through Sunday the 11th of November, and we're going to be. Tony and I will be there. Other people from the Nerds International community will be there. Jamie, Stefan, Matt. Who else have we had on the show? A couple other people, I think, all kinds of. I think we're going to have about 15, 16 people, maybe 20, close to 20.
Yeah, I think 17 was the last I counted, but
17. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be at what is that? What hotel is that? Days Inn, and we're going to be by the pool. There's going to be some. We're going to have like 3 or 4 tables. You'll see the banner, Nerds International banner there, and we'll be there. If you're there, come find us.
There's likely to be a large cooler full of beer.
Oh yes. Yes.
So yeah, we're going to be there for that and running games. And our friend Eric, we mentioned him last time. I think Eric Lamoureux, he is going to be debuting his new setting for Savage Worlds called Wise Guys. Yes. He will be doing demo games. He's creating. He's been showing us terrain and all these cool miniatures that he's creating for it. It looks like it's going to be an awesome game. He's going to be running there. Yeah. He's going to be running that for all kinds of people there. Yeah. And you'll be able to pick up a copy of their of his starter kit, I think, for Wise Guys. Yep. So and we're gonna have, if you show up and see us, if you stop by our tables and say hi and say, hey, I want to talk to the Finding the Narrative guys, I guarantee we will give you a Nerds International D6. We'll have them.
Yes,
we'll give them to you. If you see me out in public, if you know me in the area, and see Chris at home and you know him, we'll have them. Just come up and say I listened to Finding the Narrative, and you'll get a free D6.
That's right. That is right. Yeah, so we're looking forward to seeing people there. If you guys are there and seeing each other face to face, man. It's been a year, dude. Almost a year.
Almost.
Almost.
All right, so if you'd like to email us, you can contact us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. Finding the Narrative on Facebook. You can get a hold of me over there. I'll forward that on to Chris. Like our good friend KC did at the top of the show. You can contact us on the G Plus network for Nerds International with a hyphen. And lastly, you can listen to us on all the awesome places you listen to. We're not on SoundCloud yet, but maybe someday. We're on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, and Google Play. So
excellent, dude. That was a fun show.
Oh, dude, it was a great show. Long one.
show. Sorry, everybody, but hey, a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy it.
All right. Well, until next time, this is Tony saying, keep rolling them bones.
And this is Chris saying, remember the rule of cool and just have fun, everyone. Night.
Adios.
Finding the Narrative Podcast is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative Podcast. Copyright 2018, all rights reserved.